welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, this episode, of course, is going to be talking about... Well, we're not really going to be talking about much. We're going to be doing something this episode. But, this is going to be a big one. So, let's just get right into the news. First, we're going to be talking about this really big story that happened. Apparently, the CIA had secretly planned to kidnap Julian Assange, and this was during the Trump administration, and he was literally Trump went overboard and decided that he wanted to see if he had any potential to get rid of Julian Assange, and Mike Pompeo gave him some suggestions, which included potential kidnappings or assassination attempts. And this has even gone on the level to the point where there's actually people who have found footage of the CIA actually staking out Julian Assange. Now that's a really big thing. Boy, does it make the fake left people really dumbfounded, and I have no clue what direction they are in at this particular moment. But this really isn't about them. Who cares about them? I don't care about them. This is really about Julian Assange, and the fact that this is happening is very screwed up. When WikiLeaks has done a lot of good, and I can't say again. I can say it again. WikiLeaks should be free. Julian Assange should be free. But that's just me repeating the same thing over and over again. There's nothing new I can really add. So anyways, let's move on to the next story. This is one that I just felt was kind of interesting. Peru's ex-president Alejandro Toledo cleared for extradition from the U.S. I'm going to copy this just so I can just Google search him. But I'll get back to him when I get back to him. Former Peruvian Alejandro Toledo, arrested in the U.S. 2 years ago on corruption charges, has been cleared for extradition back to Peru. A U.S. judge approved the move on Tuesday, saying sufficient evidence has been presented in a case against the former president to suggest wrongdoing. Mr. Toledo is accused of taking $20 million in bribes from the Brazilian construction company Odebrecht while in office between 2001 and 2006. He's denied all charges against him, and that's BS, because Odebrecht has basically bought and sold essentially every Latin American government at that point. Let me see. You see, the BBC goes on very extensively about this. Now let me see. Legal problems. See, they bought a lot of people in Argentina, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Guatemala, Mexico, Peru, Venezuela. They've got everybody. Now the thing about Alejandro Toledo I find interesting is he's one of those people that is actually kind of mixed in regards to if he counts as the pink tide, because here's his ideology of his party: socialism, democracy, third way. He was sort of a center-left bend, but he actually did transition a little bit to the right during his administration. But then again, so did what's the other president that came after him? Not him, the other one. Ollanta Humala. He also did that kind of stuff, but his party is explicitly left-wing, so I don't know. I just find it interesting, and we should look and see how the rest of the world's leaders are being treated. And that puts extra scrutiny on this guy. I'm waiting to see what Pedro has to have. I was critical of him during the I was critical of him during the election, obviously. I mean, he literally did say gay rights, who cares? But it's let's wait. Let's wait what Pedro has to offer. I'm curious to see what Pedro has to offer. So anyways, the next story is talking about an election. The Virginia's governor debate was, for those who don't know, Virginia's having a gubernatorial race, obviously. The two major party candidates are Terry McAuliffe and... Well, I could just show who it is. Come on. Virginia governor... Yeah, hold on. I know this is boring one. Bear with me. This helps explain it, because I can show things. Okay. So the two major party candidates are Terry McAuliffe of the Democratic Party and Glenn Youngkin of the Republican Party. You see, Terry is actually very interesting because Terry was the former governor. And I got involved in this race a lot. I supported Lee Carter. Sadly, did not do so well. And I was very critical of Jennifer Carroll Foy, who was supposedly a progressive candidate, but literally was on the record of voting for an autism bill that was going to push for applied behavioral APA, I believe it's called, or ABA, applied behavioral analysis. And a lot of people endorsed her, and she basically just moved on by, and nobody even cared. Now, that was very interesting, except here's one thing that happened. There's one more candidate that will be on the ballot, Princess Blanding of the Liberation Party, and Princess Blanding is actually getting a lot of support. You see some libertarians in the state are offering their support to her. A lot of people who might be disaffected by, the two major candidates are pushing them to support her. And one thing that happened was that around 15 minutes into the debate, third-party candidate Princess Blanding began yelling at the debate stage. She shouted about the unfairness of the debate, saying, "I am on the ballot. Why am I not on the stage?" She then mocked McAuliffe, saying he was not going to win. And after being escorted by security, Blanding called her exclusion from the debate censorship and stated their censorship of my candidacy is racist. It is very sexist. It is oppressive. It is a form of voter suppression. And yeah, I'm of course I know technically it's not racist or sexist to have her kicked off the stage. It would have happened if she was a white person, or if she was a white man, the same thing would have happened. But it's she should be on the debate stage. She's literally the only other candidate on the ballot, man. Let Princess debate. And I mean, I was very interested in Princess Blanding's candidacy, and I even wanted to interview her. But for some reason, she didn't reach back to me. I don't know why that is. Maybe she's busy. Maybe she's not busy and just doesn't want to be interviewed. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see how the Virginia gubernatorial race is panning out. One thing I'll quickly give about analysis is that people are basically saying, the race seems over, but don't count it over yet. Youngkin has a chance, even though McAuliffe was definitely the guy. He was basically the Joe Biden of the race. I win, but he has shots. So don't know how that's gonna pan out. But anyways, let's move on to the next story. It's continuing to talk about Biden and Afghanistan. But here's something that happened. We have actually gotten confirmation on stuff about the Afghanistan. Now, you might say, what confirmation do we need? Well, apparently they were holding a hearing about Afghanistan. And during the hearing, they talked a lot about why Biden was very hurrying to withdraw from Afghanistan. And here's what happened. General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I say Chiefs of Chaff or whatever I said, explained why he and the other chiefs, the top officers of the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines, all agreed that we need to pull out by August 31st. The Doha Agreement, which President Trump has signed with the Taliban in early 2020, with no participation of the Afghan government, required a total withdrawal of foreign forces. If U.S. troops have stayed beyond August, Milley said, the Taliban would have resumed the fighting, and in order to stave off the attacks, we would have needed 30,000 troops, and would have suffered many casualties. And yet Milley also testified on Tuesday that he and the Chiefs of Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and other military officials advised Biden to keep 25,000 troops of Afghanistan beyond the August 31st deadline. The difference is that those troops wouldn't be attached to any military mission, instead would be transition and on a diplomatic mission. So yeah, Biden stated, this is very obvious why Biden has withdrawn very early, and is proof in the pudding that he's making the right decision. Because his generals are point blank telling him, we're going to get screwed. And, if we stay here longer than they're actually explicitly putting the blame on Trump. Because, since he made that deadline, they had to stay. So, it's in one way, it's really good, and in one way, it might be bad. Of course, we'll have to wait and see the fullest extent of what's happening now that the Taliban's taken over. But it's good that Biden has remained firm and stated that he's going to withdraw. And we need to let refugees in. We screwed over the country. It's the least we can do. So anyways, now let's move on to the next story. This is actually, like, even though this is just one part of it, we're actually going to be talking about, like, a very heavy amount of all of it. So you see, for those who don't remember, it's the infrastructure versus reconciliation bill debacle again. You see, of course, we've had the $3.5 trillion that is going to be in the reconciliation bill, and then we have the infrastructure vote. Well, you see, things were actually getting very nervous because the deadline to supposedly have the infrastructure vote was passing. Like, Nancy Pelosi, like, I remember when we talked about this a little bit ago. Nancy Pelosi said, like, oh, we're going to hold the vote on this day, and that day quickly approached, and many people were concerned, like, does that mean she's going to actually vote on the bill? Or is she going to try and push for the $3.5 trillion reconciliation? And a lot of people were very confident that she was going to just do the infrastructure vote at the end. But progressives stayed firm in saying, no, we will not vote for the infrastructure bill without the reconciliation. The $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Like, and it was, like, they stated they would not vote for it. They point blank stated, no. If this does not pass, we will vote against it. And a lot of members who are of the, like, the 9 amigos or whatever they're called, they're like Kyrsten Sinema, Joe Manchin, Josh Gothmeier, they all keep trying to blame it on the progressives, but everyone's like, this is just really stupid. Everybody is in agreement that these guys are in the wrong, like Gothmeier, Sinema, and Manchin. Like, everybody seems to be in agreement that they are in the wrong, but they still keep pushing forward. They're actively withholding the Democratic legislature from actually doing what they were tasked to do. Like, and this is even funnier. Gothmeier actually, he made a statement about how Pelosi is, like, caving into the Congressional Progressive Caucus and said, like, it's deeply regrettable that Pelosi breached her firm public commitment to members of Congress and to hold a vote because of, like, a small group of people. And it's literally like, bro, you're the one doing the bad thing. Like, he's literally saying, like, they're using Freedom Caucus tactics and trying to destroy the president's agenda. And it's like, bro, that's you. You're doing this. You're the one withholding his agenda. It is you. You are trying to stop the agenda. They're literally just doing the thing that he said he was going to do. And, like, this is the thing. Everybody was already on board with this. This is the biggest problem that everybody doesn't seem to realize. Gothmeier and, like, Manchin and Sinema, they don't have a bargaining tool. Like, I mean, they do, quote-unquote, have a bargaining tool, but in the end, it shows they truly do not have a bargaining tool. Because they stated point blank, they will not vote for the, like, reconciliation bill. That's their thing. They do not want to pass the reconciliation bill, but they keep pretending, like, oh, if we need to pass the infrastructure first. But it's like, no, if you really cared about passing the infrastructure bill, then you would have passed the reconciliation bill and then be done with it. If that's truly what you cared about, then you would have actually been able to do it. But instead, you are not going to. Because you do not want the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill to pass. You want that bill to fail, but you want the bill that you want, this bill, to pass. Because this is significantly weaker, and it basically has handouts to large corporations. You want to do that, but you don't want to do the $3.5 trillion. And the thing is, like, it's really egregious because these guys are literally just holding up this bill, and they're, like, people just objectively see them in the wrong. Like, everybody is on the side of they are wrong, but they are still doing it. Because they don't care. Throughout this whole ordeal, nobody said this wouldn't get passed. AOC and all the other people stated this will get passed. Just pass this first. That's all we want. But they held the firm in the stance like, if you bring this first, we will vote against it. That's the only way that they're not going to vote for it, is if this is brought first. But I really don't know. Will Gothmeier be pushed? Hopefully progressives just stay firm. That's all I can really hope for. So anyways, the last story, we're going to be talking about the German federal election, because I didn't actually get a chance to talk about it when it happened. You see, I originally planned to do it like a while ago, but I really couldn't figure out a time period to actually do it. But now I finally am going to talk about it, because this is something interesting that happened. The Social Democratic Party won, the Christian Democrats lost, the Greens got a decent amount, the Freedom Democrats got the decent amount, and unfortunately, the Alternative for Germany did a decent amount, and Die Linke, which is the left, they did very poorly. So basically, here's how German politics works. German politics is basically centered around the two big boys, like the party of the broad center left and the party of the broad center right, and then they have the dissidents. If you are a center leftist, but of the more ideological sense, you'll probably support the Greens either way. If you are a center-right liberal type, but don't like the more interventionist economics of some of these people, you'll support the Freedom Democrats. But if you are a member of these two parties that is more ideologically opposed, if you're ideologically this guy, you'd probably go with them, and if you're ideologically further to the left than this guy, you'll go with them. These guys are basically almost basically Nazis. And there's one grateful thing about the AfD, that all five of the other parties have made an agreement to basically screw the AfD. Like, the AfD ain't going nowhere. Unless they're like the person who wins, they ain't doing nothing. But the fact that they have 83 seats is a bit troubling. But at this point, what is the big thing that's going to happen now? Very simple. The biggest thing that people are worried about now is coalitions, because the thing about coalitions is that German politicians have really weird coalitions. Let me see. Red green coalition. Okay, let me explain. German politics can have many coalitions. Where do the coalitions are? Government formation. Okay, so many coalitions can occur in Germany. The most common one to be talked about is the traffic light coalition right now, which is the coalition between the Social Democrats, the Freedom Democrats, and the Greens, because they're the colors of traffic lights. That is, get it? And there are a lot of other German governing coalitions that can happen. There's the Grand Coalition, which is a coalition between the Social Democrats and the Christian Democrats, which is unlikely to happen. There's the Jamaica Coalition, which is the coalition of the Christian Democrats, the Freedom Democrats, and the Greens, because it's the flag of Jamaica. There's the Kenya Coalition, which is the coalition between the Christian Democrats, the Social Democrats, and the Greens. There's the Red Coalition, which would be a coalition between the Social Democrats and the left, except that coalition is probably not going to happen. Then another coalition that many people thought would be the end deal coalition would be the Red-Green Coalition, but that didn't end up happening. There's the Social Liberal Coalition with the Social Democrats and the Freedom Democrats. And then there's this is just the Red-Green Alliance, but I thought this was the Red-Green Alliance. The Red-Green Alliance is just the normal coalition, but the Red-Greens are very interesting. Red-Greens are the coalition of the... What was that? Red-Greens is the left, the Social Democrats, and the Greens, but that coalition was basically thrown out the window because the left, Die Linke, does not support NATO, what is the most likely coalition is just a traffic light coalition. But, like, I don't know how that's going to pan out. But anyways, now let's move on to the main topic of this video. We're going to be doing, dang it! We're going to be doing the political compass quiz. Now you might notice that I've actually done the political compass test a couple of times on this channel. But here's a kicker. Like, ever since I did the thing the last time, the political compass quiz has actually not changed a lot, but the perception of the political compass quiz has changed a lot. You see, originally when I took it, the political compass test was actually seen a whole lot more favorably, but now the political compass test is mostly used in a mocking manner. Like, people use this political compass quiz as more of a joke. Like, they'll be like J-Rag. He's made, like, characters based on all of the people in the political compass quiz. There was, like, the big debate of, like, purple versus yellow. And, basically, one of the big legitimate critiques of the political compass quiz is that apparently it was made by libertarians, which probably makes sense. And since it was made by libertarians, a lot of people noticed that it will sort of force you into the libertarian category, and you have to say some really bad things to actually get into the authoritarian category. But I do still think that in the sense of a political spectrum, the political compass test is probably the most accurate, but I wouldn't hold it to the biggest level. So basically, what this is basically going to do is, essentially, this is going to be the last time I take the political compass quiz. And I might say, what? Yeah, I do think that at this point, this is probably going to be the last time that I take it, at least for a while, because what I used to do is I used to take it every so often just to see where I am. But now I've basically decided, yeah, let's probably just close the chapter of this, because let's just see how it is. Now, one quick thing I should say is that the thing actually is kind of good and cool, and it actually does show a lot of interesting things, like the French, like they'll show like a certain elected officials and parties, political compasses quiz. You know, Macron would be here, Haman, Mélenchon. But the thing is, it is really weird. Sometimes they are not entirely that accurate. Like, here's one that always bugged me. Okay, this makes sense, obviously. But then you scroll down, Rocky Anderson is here. But you see, the thing is, they don't actually explain why he's there, just that he's there. But, well, hold on. German federal election political quiz. Not political quiz, but like... Well, this makes sense. No, wait, no, this makes no sense. These two up here makes no sense. What should have happened is this should have been like down here, or maybe even up here. And like green should have been here, and like Social Democrats maybe here if you're fair, but like this is not fair at all. And the CDU is further to the left than the Christian Social Union? And the FDP? See, this is why some people don't take the political compass test that seriously. But what it does show that is actually really cool is that, like, on speculations and whimsy, this is, like, there's ideological music where it gives you the, like music for your political side, and, yeah, this is kind of cool. But also one thing that's funny, I don't know if this is that good, is that they give you a composer's political compass quiz, and I don't think this is really accurate at all, because how would you know? But one thing I do like is that they also have a reading list. I haven't actually read any of the things in the reading list, but it's good that they have it so that you can actually see, like, what would your political views be? Capital in the 21st century, sweeping mediation of the massive inequality of contemporary capitalism. You see, it has all these, like, things from these... Okay, maybe it's not that accurate as anymore. But anyways, I've delayed it long enough. Let's finally take the test one last time. Test. Before taking the test, please note this isn't a survey, and these aren't questions. well, they are questions, but they are propositions. To question the logic of individual ones that irritate you is to miss the point. Some propositions are extreme, and some are moderate. That's how it can show you whether you lean towards extremism or moderation on the compass. Your response should not be overthought. Some of them are intentionally vague. Their purpose is to trigger reactions in the mind, measuring feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions on policy. Just a few propositions to start with, concerning, no less, how you see the country and the world. Okay? Here we go. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Yeah, I'm going to say strongly agree, because under the premise of if it is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity, but I would only put agree in the sense like if it wasn't inevitable. Okay. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I'm going to put disagree because I don't support countries. I only quote-unquote support the United States just because I live in it. That is my only level of support. I only want them to do well because I live here. But it doesn't mean that I will say like, oh, the U.S. is committing a genocide. I'm on their side 100%. No, that's just dumb. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. No, not necessarily. This is the thing. Everybody's always complaining like there should be a middle option, but of course the quiz says this is supposed to be why it is this way. Because I don't know if they had that in originally. Maybe they just add that because people start making fun of them for it. But basically, yes, nobody chooses their country of birth, and I wouldn't get like being like, oh, I'm super blah blah blah, like being like a super nationalist. But there is to a degree some level of being proud of your country. And when I say be proud of it, it's just like some small national pride. Not even like anything really nationalistic. Like, it's like saying, if you're born in Mexico, shouldn't they be proud of it? Or be proud of the things that your nation has done that are good. Or be proud of anything, really. Our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. Strongly disagree. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Strongly disagree. That's just not a good idea. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Now, you might say, wait, why are you questioning it? You see, cause let's just say in a very hypothetical sense, there is a very bad thing that is happening. In the US, the only way to stop it is to do something very bad on their own. Should the US not take the precautions to try and stop it? Like if there's an extreme genocide, should they not, like, fight? I don't know. I'm going to put disagree just because I'm a pacifist. Like, I'm just a pacifist in nature. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Strongly disagree because I am just this. I believe that information and entertainment can be intertwined, and it should be intertwined very good. At least if it's done well. But you have to make it known when the line is drawn. Okay, next page. Now the economy. We're talking attitudes here, not the FSTC index. I don't know what that is, but let's continue. People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. I would say yeah, for the most part. But again, there can be a little bit of both. Like, people of white people will naturally be a bit more wealthy than African Americans. Not saying that's like a 1-to-1, 100% always the case, but it's like broadly still kind of similar. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I wouldn't necessarily say it is, because inflation can be good in the long run. It depends. Not saying that you can't control inflation while also controlling unemployment, but more people being employed is good in the long run. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Strongly agree, 100%. From each according to his ability to each according to their needs, it is fundamentally a good idea. This is the question that got me. Remember this? I sat here for like 10 minutes thinking, what does this mean? But then I finally understood what it means. Now, I'm I don't know. From each according to his... I don't know if I should put agree or strongly agree. From each according to his ability to each according to his need. I fundamentally agree with the idea, but of course I understand the implementation. It's not going to necessarily work out. But I guess in the fundamentally good idea faction, I'm going to put strongly agree. The freer the market, the freer the people. Nope, not at all. It is a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled brand consumer product. Yeah, it sucks. Water and land, pretty cool. They should be free to everybody. Oh, speaking of, I didn't even see the next question. Land shouldn't be a commodity bought and sold. Yeah, I believe more in land redistribution. I like the idea of land redistribution. And I'm not necessarily a Georgist, but I have seen like the aspects of Georgism, and I'm like, I guess some aspects of it make sense. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. Yep. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Strongly agree. Yep. The only social responsibility of a company is to deliver a product to its shareholders. I would say disagree. I wouldn't say strongly disagree because it's like, to a degree, a company that is going to be their prime motivation. But it's also like, they do have to hold themselves accountable when need be. And when I say hold themselves accountable, I mean have people hold them accountable. The rich are too highly taxed. No. Tax them way more. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Strongly disagree. Medicare for all. Single-payer healthcare. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Yeah, duh. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Yeah, obviously not. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to think. Because it's like, do I agree with them? Do I agree with the concept of the question? Or do I believe that I truly, like, it's just the free market restrictions? Because let's say I agree with the idea of, like, I do believe that there should be, like, restrictions to the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. That's where I would do this. But if it's, like, free market, I'd have to put this because I do not agree with that, because a free market would inevitably just lead to that. I'll just put strongly agree I'll just put agree on this. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. Now, let me rephrase this because this might trip me up. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be legal. It should not always be illegal. All authority should be questioned. Agree, but I'm not going to say strongly agree, because there's some things that, of course, you can't question, like science authorities. They are smart. They know what they're doing. An eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. Strongly disagree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I would say disagree. I don't really have any specific reason why. I would just say that taxpayers should prop up theaters and museums. I think they should. It would help the community a bit more. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Disagree. Not necessarily. Or maybe, it's like, when I was a student, I understood, yeah, fuck school. But it's like, now that I'm not in school, it's like, I'm only going to put agree because I don't think that the punishment should be as severe as it is. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that are different sorts of people should keep our own kind. Nope, that's ethno-state talk. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. In a way, yeah. There's, it's not even necessarily spanking your children. It's that there are some people who do genuinely have, you do have to punish them in that kind of way. But it's like, of course, that's not the prime way. But it's like, sometimes it is the way. It is natural for children to keep secrets from their parents. Yeah, a lot of children keep secrets from their parents. That's just a natural part of growing up. Some children don't come out to their parents until they're 40. Some children, get a girl pregnant. It's just a natural secret. I don't think they should keep as many secrets. I think they should be open with their parents a lot more. But there's just a lot of secrets that aren't going to be kept. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Absolutely. Toke up, everybody. The prime function of schooling should be to equip future generations to find jobs. See, this is where this would happen. I'm kind of torn on what to do. I don't think it should be the prime, like, maybe in a sense, but I also believe that they should teach, they should teach kids the idea of learning. They should, the prime function is really not just to equip them for future to find jobs, but to equip them for society. So, it's a little bit more. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Nope, that's eugenics talk. The most important thing for children to learn is to... I'm just making sure that I didn't screw up. People with serious should not be allowed to reproduce. They should be allowed to reproduce. I want people who have Down syndrome to have kids, too. If they want to have kids, they should have kids. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. No, not necessarily. I understand to a degree why you would want to do that, but it's also they should be allowed to also fight back. Not fight back in a literal sense, but be firm and strong in the thing. There are no savage or civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Yeah. No, yeah. Because I got flack for someone from this because they're like, you're talking about black culture and white culture, but it's that's what the question's about, dummy. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. No. There are a lot of people who, this is the big thing about this. People who are able to work and refuse the opportunity. You have to be very, very thorough with this before you can label someone as someone who is able to work and refuse the opportunity. What if the person's massively depressed and they just don't tell you? Then you might just think they're lazy. But they could just be suffering a very bad mental illness that you don't know about it. You have to be very thorough about this. And even then, people who just don't want to work, it's fine. If they don't feel like they have a purpose in life, they shouldn't be punished for that. When you are troubled, it is better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Not necessarily. No. Strongly disagree. If you're troubled, seek help. Or you can be busy with more cheerful things if you want, if that'll help you when you're troubled. But you have to do it in your own way. First-generation immigrants can never fully be integrated into their new country. Disagree. No. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if they are. Who cares? What's good for the most successful corporations? No. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for us. No. That is just not true. They want to tell you that so that you can do their bidding. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Strongly disagree. There are a lot of places that do receive public funding that are very good. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Yeah, that is true. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments and delays in a process in a democratic system. I'm going to put strongly disagree because while technically on this question itself it makes sense, I don't believe that those benefits outweigh the negatives. I believe that we need every voice to be heard in a country to make decisions, not just a one-party state, especially when, what if that one-party state just doesn't like you? Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. No, I believe everybody has a concern. We all should be concerned with the fact that the government spies on literally everything that we say and do. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Nope. I used to agree with this, well, maybe in the most even the most bad crime, but it's no. I do not believe in the death penalty anymore. I learned what the death penalty was, and I just cannot support it anymore. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Disagree. That's just archaic. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Strongly disagree. Now you know what I'm going to put strongly disagree. No. Nah. Abstract. I'm going to be strongly disagree on this because I'm an artiste. A lot of art is art. In the criminal justice system, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Strongly disagree. And on the same notion, agree. There are some criminals that you cannot rehabilitate. That is the truth of the matter. But that does not mean we shouldn't try. We should always try rehabilitation first before going in the route of let's not do it. It's like the same thing with, like, take person at their word. Always take a person at their word before you decide to not trust them. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Strongly disagree. I believe they're all important in their own unique way. But truthfully, I believe the writer and the artist are way better. They're cooler, they're more fun, and they're me. Mothers may have careers where their first duty is to be homemakers. Strongly disagree. Mothers can do whatever the heck they want. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the planet's genetic resources of developing countries. Yeah, obviously. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I'm going to put disagree because it's like, we don't have to agree with them 100%. It's like, we're free to disagree with them. We don't have to make peace with them. We're fighting against them. But I understand if you want to make peace in a way to try and get your own agenda passed, but it's like, you don't have to make peace in that unique way. Okay, if you get through that, okay, you'll find these prepositions on religion a breeze. Astrology accurately explains many things. Nope. You cannot be moral without being religious. Okay, hold on. These questions, the way they're like worded with like double negatives and stuff. You cannot be moral without being religious. Hold on. So you can be moral without being religious. You can be moral without being religious. You cannot be moral without being religious. Disagree. You can be moral without being religious. That is truth. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping generally disadvantaged. Nope. Because at one point, charity dries up. Social Security don't dry up. And when I say don't dry up, I mean it doesn't. In the sense of like, a welfare state does not dry up because people will still be forced to do it. Good. Some people are naturally unlucky. Strongly disagree. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Nope. And finally, let's look at sex. Oh no! Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. No. People have sex without marriage all the time. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the right of possibility of adoption. Strongly agree. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Okay, just making sure. I have to keep going back to make sure. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal. Yep. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Yeah. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Strongly disagree. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. No. I think it needs to go further. I understand to a degree where it might be coming from, but it's like, people should be open about it. Okay, now let's see where I stand. Okay, and my thing is now 9 and 7. I've went to 9 now. Let's see how I've done previously, because I have a thing. This was me in college. This was me in, like, you see, as you can see, I've steadily gone left in regards to economics. My social access was not that far left in 2019? That doesn't seem right. Oh well, that doesn't matter. I have my answer. I'm now all the way down here. Let me see. Previously we charged... Like, yeah. So yeah, this is my new political compass now. I'm essentially all the way down here, and yet people are still going to call me like a shit lib or something. That's so dumb. It's like I'm on the compass far there. I didn't expect it to be that far, honestly. Maybe I thought it was like maybe going to still be an 8, but it's like 9? Man. And I still haven't read marks. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. This is my new results. I guess my DSA card is worth it after all. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, check out my articles in the Independent Political Report, or consider supporting me on Patreon.